Blame me if I don't love you, okay? Hello, everyone, and I'm Emma. Welcome back to the show here on TLC Next Chapter. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this episode a big thumbs up. Sister Wives star Gwendlyn Brown has lived most of her life in the public eye. She's been open in public about her sexuality and other personal issues, growing up, really, in front of our eyes. The fans have seen her evolve throughout the years. Gwen recently revealed that she never really meant to come out about her sexuality so openly. Although she never intended to keep it a secret, coming out as gay on the TLC reality show was not what she wanted to do. However, as per her, the producers of Sister Wives pushed her to reveal her identity. While talking to Teen Vogue, Gwendlyn described the situation behind her coming out. Her father, Kody, is a religious churchgoer and has firm Orthodox views. He didn't agree with her talking about sexuality so openly. But Gwen wasn't fazed by what her dad had to say. Kody and his wife, number 3, Christine, have 6 children together, Gwen included. On her YouTube channel, Gwen recently did a Q&A session where she spoke more about her relationship with her dad. While on the video, a Sister Wives fan inquired about Kody's relationship with Isabel. Gwendlyn answered, stating Kody does not have an established relationship with any of his children. She further explained he even favors Robin's children above the others. Regarding her relationship with Kody, she confessed it had not gotten any better with time. Gwen went ahead and accused him of not spending quality time with his other children. Gwen also mentioned that Sister Wives producers pushed her to talk about her sexuality. Kody Brown has always been old-fashioned, even strict in his ways, usually imposing religious rules on his wives and children. Once upon a time, Kody was married to 4 wives and had 18 children. The entire family went to the same church. But in 2021, Sister Wives viewers watched Christine walk away. Not just from Kody, but also from the church. She did not continue that relationship. Christine's children, one by one, started distancing themselves from Kody too. Of them, Gwen. A bit of a wild child herself, after her parents divorced, Gwen was a part of some television appearances. During one of those interviews, which was being done on her parents' divorce, she also ended up talking openly about her sexuality. In reference to her sister's unexpected relocation to North Carolina, the producer asked Gwen, "Your mom said you're bisexual. Do you have anything you want to say about that?" Although she didn't try to hide it, she played along with it and admitted to the truth. Gwendlyn said that the producers urged her to come out more during filming. In a recent interview with Teen Vogue, she spoke about the experience. She admitted that being asked to talk on television about her sexual orientation wasn't exactly a delightful thing to do. Gwen also expressed some views on the coming out, said that doesn't like the notion itself. She mentioned that straight people don't feel obligated to declare their sexuality. So should queer people? In 2023, Gwen revealed that her sister Leon distanced herself from the Brown family mainly due to the fact that most relatives were not welcoming to transgender people. There were rumors of Gwen fighting with her siblings on the matter of her sexuality as well. She openly admitted transphobia is present in the family. Sister Wives Christine explains why the children never got paid for appearing on the show. The Brown family has generated huge amounts of money from Sister Wives over time. The show started in 2010 and has since lasted for 19 seasons, a pretty long haul. Whereas Kody and his wives were collecting huge checks, the children, appearing on the show with their parents, allegedly didn't see a penny of those checks that was made public when Gwen, Christine's daughter, stated that it wasn't the network, but her mother paying for college. Last week, in an interview, Gwen explained that the adult cast members alone were paid by the network. She deemed it unfair, especially since the kids were also featured prominently and had their own storylines. However, the money wasn't split fairly. Step in to defend it now has Christine. Her defense, however, was rather evasive, and fans could not help but wonder if she was concealing something. Gwen, on the other hand, termed the TLC check a blessing. She explained in another interview how the money totally transformed their family situation. Fame and riches suddenly rushed in. Things became easier, and the perpetual worry of financial hardship slowly disappeared. Hoping for better in life, Gwen added, "Things are much easier for a kid who isn't going to bed hungry." She confessed that she was quite excited about the show during the initial days, primarily due to the monetary advantages. Almost overnight, their family transitioned from zero to living with stability. However, today Gwen does not consider the show to be a blessing. Sister Wives Kody Brown recently shared how the income from TLC was spent on paying for her children's college education. She's been trying some damage control in response to Gwen's comments. Kody said she spent her income from the show creating a college fund and an auto fund for her 6 children. Because the show has been on for so long, she indicated she had time to save and plan for her children. Her daughter Gwen had just told us last week that none of the siblings received direct money from the show. Gwen said the manner in which the payments were divided was not equitable. Though she couldn't remember how much money her parents were paid, she knew none of the children ever laid eyes on any of it. Responding to that interview, Kody maintained that she did pay her children back in other forms. Though not immediate cash payments, she took her pay and put it toward accumulating funds, paying college tuition and car costs for her children. But Kody did not provide any information regarding her ex-sister wives' management of their respective show paychecks, or if they saved anything for their own kids. Kody and Kody have 6 kids together. Their oldest, Aspen, graduated in 2019. Mykelti, the second child, went to college but never graduated. Payton also did not get a college degree. Gwen graduated from Northern Arizona University. Isabel is studying toward her undergraduate degree. The youngest is still in middle school. For years, fans of Sister Wives have questioned the family's financial transparency. Kody once claimed he had funds set aside for each of his kids, but none of the children ever received them. Even Mary revealed that she paid for her child's college education herself. The family has never been completely open about how their finances were handled. And for fans, it's always been a bit confusing. Raised in a complicated family, influenced by religion and the constant scrutiny of reality television, Gwen never dreamed that the story of her life would become so intertwined with the public's interest. Growing up under constant watch, her childhood was a mix of sacred education and deeply personal discoveries. And as she grew up from girlhood into womanhood, her life was a tapestry of public persona, individual development, and emotional discovery. She learned early on that staying authentic to herself in a world burdened by expectation would be costly on an emotional level. As early as her childhood, there was a spark within her, vibrant, piercing, and unapologetic about speaking her mind. But when it came to those innermost feelings, particularly about whom she loved and what the world was to her, she tended to keep them locked up. The others around her thought she'd end up doing what her family's faith ordained, but her own spirit kept drawing her elsewhere. Sometimes she felt like a visitor to her home, a stranger in a narrative constructed on her father's spiritual beliefs. Even with multiple siblings, she often felt disconnected emotionally, particularly from her father, who was the leader of the family. His own worldview, based in strong religious orthodoxy, left little place for views that differed from his own. That inflexibility only widened the emotional chasm between them as she matured. In her adolescent years, she quietly came to grasp a fundamental truth about herself. Her heart didn't fit into the parameters others had created for love. It wasn't some big, dramatic move of defiance. It was a slow-burning awakening, a gradual sense of understanding that her way would be her own. She never meant to make a big show of it. Her faith was in quiet integrity, not bombast. But living on a TV family meant that her private life was subject to unwritten rules, and the producers were always on the lookout for a plot. So, when the production crew ambushed her with a question on camera, one that made an innuendo about her sexuality, She was stuck in a dilemma: honesty versus privacy. She did not intend to disclose that aspect of herself to the whole country, but the opportunity presented itself without notice. Her mother had made a flippant comment, and the producers, always eager to pursue drama, homed in. "Your mother told you you're not straight. Would you be willing to talk about that?" There was no script to rely on, no time to erect a protective shield. At that moment, she decided to acknowledge what had been said, not because she felt compelled to justify herself, but because she did not want to live as anyone's secret. But when the cameras cut off, the ripple effects of that decision started to spread. Her revelation was met with a mix of reactions: interest, support, and also criticism. The verdict did not come merely from outside her world, it was also from inside the family. Her father, never comfortable talking about anything that conflicted with his conservative ways, offered her little praise. Their own weak relationship was dealt another blow. In reflection after, she explained how the production of the show pushed her into self-revelation in a hurry. Although she had long ago embraced her identity, she seethed at how it was pulled out of her, made into plot devices rather than a personal revelation, presented on her own terms. In interviews, she started talking honestly about how reality TV tended to blur the lines between life and manufactured drama. She became more forthcoming regarding the conflict between her and her father. When fans inquired about his relationship with his children, she responded matter-of-factly. She painted a picture of a father who seemed more engaged with a smaller circle, i.e., the children in his current relationship, than with the family unit. Over time, it became clear that his attention had been given to the youngest household, the one he lived with his current partner. The other children, particularly those born of previous marriages, frequently felt neglected. She didn't duck the favoritism, the unequal allocation of time, energy, and affection. Her relationship with him had also disintegrated long ago, a tacit distance that grew wider as the years went by. His role in her life had grown symbolic rather than real. A father by name, but not in the fullest sense. And yet, in spite of the emotional remoteness, she found strength through her online community. YouTube and social media served as a sanctuary for her where she could meet people who understood her experience. Through videos and honest discussions, she established a support network of compassion. There, she started sharing her story more completely, answering questions from viewers, dispelling misconceptions, and revealing truths that had been hidden for too long. In one especially candid Q&A, a fan asked if her father had ever had any relationship with one of his other children. Her response was brief, though profoundly telling. "He doesn't really have a relationship with any of us." She didn't say it to be brutal, but to tell the truth. The reality behind the picture-perfect family portrait slowly emerged. As time went on, she became more vocal regarding the difficulties of coming of age in a household saturated with religious dogma. Her father, who was a devout follower of his church, would frequently seek to impose those beliefs upon all who were around him. There were strict rules, conditional love, and independence confused with disobedience. Following the breakup of her parents, it only became more complex. Her mother made the decision to walk away from the structure that had defined so much of her life. That created a domino effect. One by one, a number of children started to create emotional distance from their father. For one daughter specifically, the breakup was conflicted. She was relieved that her mother was taking back her independence, yet heartbroken over the widening rift in her family. In a magazine feature reflecting on her personal growth, she opened up further, offering deeper insight into how her path of self-discovery clashed with the world she came from. She explained that she had never truly wanted to come out at all. For her, labels felt unnecessary, a weight that others expected her to carry. She asked about the double standard. Why do people like her have to announce whom they love, while others are free to live without having to endure such questioning? Her position was straightforward. Love does not require explanation. She also exposed the psychological cost of having been brought up in a family in which gender and identity were not merely debated but interrogated. One of her siblings, who identified as non-binary, also received dismissal from within the family. She acknowledged that some family members clung to deep-seated prejudices and judgment had quietly accumulated in the backrooms between them. These epiphanies only made family tensions worse, and rumors circulated about altercations and estrangement. She did not deny any of that. Rather, she presented a measured, restrained truth. Yes, the estrangements were real. And yes, they were painful. Her intention in speaking out was not to hurt anyone. It was to remind others on similar paths that they weren't alone. In the midst of it all, she did not come out as a broken person, but as one redefining her own story. That spotlight that once had her held tight became something she owned, a lantern to light the way for others. She opted for honesty, not to be admired, but to engender connection and clarity. And now, her voice is not only speaking for her, but for everybody who's ever felt invisible in their own family portrait. Her path is still far from over, but with every revelation she makes, she continues to peel away the layers of a life defined by faith, family, and a search for freedom. A voice once stifled under the burden of expectation now rises, distinct and powerful, providing solace to those who are still seeking their own. For years, a large family grounded in the desert Southwest existed under the constant gaze of reality TV, creating a story around harmony, perseverance, and the test of maintaining several relationships within one household. Viewers were invited into moments of joy, disappointment, moves, and milestones. But behind the slick video, a less visible narrative was playing out, one of finances, equity, and escalating tensions within the family's younger generations. When this quirky family first entered the limelight, their tale was heavily based on love and religious faith, attempting to introduce the world to a way of living so often judged. What drew in the viewers at first were the relationships between the man who led the family and his wives. But with time, it was not only the adults who became well-known figures. The kids, many of whom came of age on the air in front of our eyes, were ubiquitous. They showed up in key scenes, sat through long family conversations, and even drove some scenes themselves at times. But as the years went by and the family tree branched out wider, concerns arose. Gossip about money and equity turned into fuller-blown issues. Were the kids ever paid for working on the show? That lingering question gained new steam when one of the older daughters, a known straight shooter and free thinker, made a shocking revelation in an emotional online Q&A. She divulged that the younger members of the family were never monetarily recompensed for being on the show. It wasn't the network or the company that financed her college education. It was her mom, who intervened privately to cover those costs. Her admission sparked a storm of controversy. Were the children unpaid extras or just unpaid relatives? Her statement hit a chord, particularly given the show's enormous popularity and long life. While some may say that the children were not technically part of the cast, there's no arguing that they were a consistent presence in the show. From tantrums on toddler knees to prom nights, the show depended on their appearance to connect with audiences. Without them, several episodes would have sounded hollow. The pay scale, according to the daughter, was straightforward, but unfair. Only the adults received checks, and the earnings were not distributed evenly across every person featured. While the adults sorted out the intricacies of plural marriage on the screen, the little one, most of whom had their right to privacy violated while at formative years, left with experiences, not money. Public outrage followed fast. Fans wanted answers. And from the chorus of questions, one was heard most loudly. Why did the youngest voices, so central to the narrative, go unrewarded? In the midst of the controversy swirling about, one of the family's most outspoken and independent women decided to venture into the limelight with an answer. Half defense, half reflection. A mother's rebuttal, sacrifices, priorities, and silent support. The matriarch involved, previously a contributor to the plural household, now developing her own identity and professional life outside that model, spoke in measured precision. She described how, instead of providing her children outright monies from the profits of the show, she had made a long-term choice to save for their futures in carefully selected savings accounts. Unobtrusively, and at the expense of her own convenience, she saved for their education and travel, college fees, vehicles, opportunity. It was a private decision, not one for contracts or producers. The network, in her words, was never required to pay the children. So she decided to get ahead. Her remarks resonated. But some did not hear the same song. Others commended her foresight and maternal sense, praising her for securing a future for her children in the fraught and uncertain family landscape. Others, though, raised an eyebrow. Her language, they claimed, seemed carefully chosen, maybe to avoid a backlash or lawsuit. Was it transparency or damage control? The hidden cost of public childhoods. In the meantime, the daughter who originally blown the lid on the budget disparity spoke not in anger, but muted disillusion. She described how, in the early days of the show, the unexpected money transformed everything. No longer were nights spent worrying about bills. Food, clothing, education, no longer sources of worry, but that initial relief tasted bitterly. She said that, while she had once been smitten with the show, the exposure, the newness, the possibility of getting out of poverty, it no longer seemed like a blessing. As she matured, her perspective sharpened. What had once appeared to be an open door to possibility turned out to be a double-edged sword. Being watched, assessed, and criticized by millions while going through adolescence came at a cost, not in terms of dollars, but in emotional burden. Her tale painted a picture of a young woman conflicted between gratitude and disillusionment. Yes, the show provided her family with a sort of security. But the price of that security, she now understood, had been her privacy, and in part her peace. She could not help but wonder at the question that hung behind every public smile and private sacrifice. Was it worth it? The bigger question, the one nobody really addressed, was left hanging. Who were the rule makers? When her mother did speak in public, she stayed quiet about how the rest of the wives in the family handled their own incomes. Every household was on its own, its money kept secret behind closed doors. That secrecy brought new layers to the discussion. Were all the mothers as committed to providing for their children's futures? Or did some see the income of the show as an award that was only for them and their immediate kids? The woman in the center of this assertion had 6 children with the man they all used to share. One daughter proudly graduated from a well-respected university. Another started, but later quit, opting the path wasn't for her. A son took the military path, no degree, but a definite route. One daughter is still in college, and the youngest is just entering high school. These divergent trajectories imply that all the children might not have benefited equally from the economic foundation their mother insisted she had established. But in her account, she provided no details. No detail on how much was set aside or the basis on which she distributed those resources. That vagueness created space for assumptions, and to most who had been tracking the family, that ambiguity seemed intentional. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for daily updates and deeper dives into the stories that matter. See you next time.